Right guys, it's been a while, but I think today it's time for us to talk about planning, and that's planning with a capital P. So I'm here today to show you what I've been sort of up to over the last year with Whiteburg City and the future plans I have in store for it. The answer is, it wasn't even the question, but the answer to the question is, yes, there is a lot planned, there's so much I want to do, and due to just time, or not being on my side so to say, things haven't been built. But today I'm going to run through bit by bit what I've got planned, what I've got drawn, and what's actually on the ground. There's some things on the ground. So stick with me as we ramble around ourselves around Whiteburg City. Anyway, I'm over here by what it will be known as Burr Street Station. Now this place is the main central station, central terminus for Whiteburg City. I say central, it isn't actually that central. It's our first map time. Let's look at some maps. So what you're seeing here is the kind of overview map, the master plan map of this part of Whiteburg City, and it's mainly been drawn just to display how the railways connect in with Linford. So this is Goblin's Town over here of Linford upon Avon, and you can see there is, well, let's talk it through. The black lines are landmass that are planned to be built. The blue stuff in the background is the water that's currently there for the River Avon, but as you can see, the land is going to be taken up, the river is going to be turned into a bit more of a canalised sort of canal through here. We'll get on to that later. The station I was discussing there, this is Burr Street Station. What you can actually already see is the station location isn't where it is in the game though. It needs to move further forward because this road's kind of pushed it back against a corner too far. We'll get onto that again later on. I've already started doing that in game. But what you're seeing is Whiteburg City, the centre of which is like here. This is where Greenwich House is. This is the planned Old Town. Now this is based on Southampton and the walled city of Southampton. So you have a bar gate, which is the main entrance here, running through down to there, and below all of that will be the main docks, again based on Southampton, and we'll try and get the Titanic in there one day. That's real future planning. What we're working on at the moment is the area around the steeple, the lovely national gardens, national parks, and Willy Square. Now Willy Square is our version of Trafalgar Square, and we'll get on to a bit more of that in a second. That's where I've just started the video off. So I'm going to be working my way from here all the way back up the Strand towards the Old Town. The best place to start is trying to figure out what the left edge of the city is going to look like. So you can see here the lovely squiggly lines, which will be a nightmare to build in Minecraft, are the railway routes to different locations. So the red route is coming up from Wolverhampton and Wolverhamptonshire all the way through into, well, it actually travels through Whiteburg along this track here, which will be at a different level to the rest of them. Now this travels all the way around and terminates at a different station opposite. Well, actually it's going to terminate even further around here. There's going to be a station down here, you know, at the other end of the city. There is also a spur that comes off and allows trains to terminate in Burr Street Station. Now this little arm here hasn't been built yet, nor has it been planned in game. This is something that I need to try and figure out, but to do so I've got to pull the train station further forward. You can see there's lots of moving parts already and nothing's really cemented onto the ground. Alongside that is a road bridge that will run all the way across here, these two islands, and out towards Linfordshire, the city of Linford, lovely city of Linford. So the other routes, the cyan coloured, the light blue here, goes out and connects into several different platforms in the station, but its main route is out and through Linford Station, which allows connections back into another route which travels back down to Wolverhampton. So it's kind of like a circular motion here, which is why all of the routes going out of Wolverhampton don't all terminate here, because you can quickly get the train here, go back into the terminus, or you go off on the little spur, which is mainly trains. The idea is trains from here go down to Wolverhampton and allow, you know, people to travel out to Whitesea Island. Very reminiscent to the real world situation where trains leave Brockenhurst to go to Lymington Pier to allow trains to, anyway, go to the Isle of Wight. That's rambling. So that's the plan, and then these green lines come into a nice little train yard here and terminate in areas of the train station again, and they travel on up to the further northern reaches of the city. Now, not even the city, of the country. Now, what I want to show you is the master plan of Whiteburg City. This is going to be a very plan-intensive video. I'm sorry if looking at plans isn't what you like doing. It's what I love doing. I breathe it. I live and breathe it. This is my passion. Drawing strange squiggly lines on Minecraft maps to display cities. So let's talk wider plans for Whiteburg. So as we've discussed, Burr Street Station, Willy Square all sit around here. Then we have, like I was saying, the Old Town, which has been a bit more redefined. The original plan was to have the Strand, which is this main, very long road that stretches from, actually it transects the entirety of the city. And it'll travel up, there'll be a church here, there'll be a church here, and then when you get to the end of the road, there'll be a cathedral. Now, whether that's going to be St. Paul's Cathedral or not, I haven't decided yet. I do have some other ideas for a cathedral for Whiteburg City, mainly because Goblin and myself were discussing perhaps putting St. Paul's around here somewhere, so it's like between Linford and Walhampton, Linford and Whiteburg, but it's not being concreted in yet as an idea. So this is a possible placeholder for where it can go. And in real life, it kind of is on the outside of the City of London, which is the old walled section of London. So there's a little bit of a real world parallel there. In previous videos of this, I discussed how this area around here, down the end of the Mall, was going to have the Imperial Palace of Whiteburg. In the end, we built the National Monument, the spire, or the steeple, sorry, which I think is just godly. It does reach up to the heavens and is a masterpiece of just design. Anyway, that goes there now. So we've had to relocate the place for the National Palace, the Imperial Palace, which was going to be up here. So this is like on the other side of the city to everything else. I think it works quite nicely, and it will have, again, a very long drag up to it, similar to the Mall, just not that Mall down there. And then that will lead off roads further out. So there's a huge royal park behind it, which acts as like a boundary to the city. The rest of the city is just a mismatch of roads, almost like a grid pattern, because Whiteburg is a developed city. It's not a planned. It is a planned city. Sorry, it's not a naturally grown city, because the natural growth of the city was in here, in the original walled city section, and that was how it was until, I think in my ideas, 1600s, when it started getting planned out more and more by the late 17th century, when it became this very big, powerful place. And that brings us to kind of like where we are. So we've got three main train stations. So we have Burr Street Station. I have not decided on the name of this station yet, but it's on the main road out of here. I'm trying to think. So that road there in Southampton is called Above Bar Street. It could be called Above Bar Street Station or Bar Street Station. So the Burr Bar might be a bit confusing. We might rename that. Maybe Southampton Street Station or something like that. And then there's going to be one over here, which will be based on the terminus station from Old Southampton. And this, I think, will possibly take trains from there now as a big loop. But that hasn't been formulated yet. So anyway, you can see kind of what we've got going on, and up here is the Imperial Park section of Whiteburg City, which is being built by Lands to be an area where the stadium sits. There's a train station already up there, and we've got some other little bits and bobs going on around there. And I believe the plan is now to build Kew Gardens around here somewhere, so that'd be really nice. Little group project for a few of us Whiteburg builders. So let's get back into game. So what needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon so I can get on and build the station, is for the whole structure to move several hundred blocks. I think it's even how long is it? So maybe if I just walk up to the edge of the white there, which is 6 blocks, let's say even 5 blocks. Let's just say 5 blocks there. So if we go from there to there, how far away is that? So that's 104 blocks. And there'll be a nice little sort of frontage section. I mean, you've already got quite a deep section there. That will allow far bigger train shed at the back. That was the main problem. The train shed at the back just isn't going to be big enough unless I do this change, which, yeah, I think is very doable. So the edge of the road's now going to be here. So again, it's this corner actually. It's this corner that becomes the main issue. So 1, 2, 3, even if we have 4 blocks, let's say 5 blocks up to the edge of the road, there's a bit of pavement there. How far does that bring us if I stack that 100 blocks? So we can't bring it 100 blocks forward. We can bring it several blocks forward. Let me just add in a bit more of this. So that brings it to a grand distance of 61. Okay, 61 blocks. How many carriages is that? So these are the thoughts I'm having to go through just to try and figure out what I want, because I kind of want 10-car carriages everywhere. Although we don't have to, because some of these lines could be classed as metro lines. So that allows 2 more carriages in. That could work. Yeah, okay. because at the moment the station is a bit limited on how long the platforms are before it reaches the river and the rail structure at the back, because this is going to be full of very large high density buildings, which we'll get onto in a bit. Actually, I just want to have a little talk about the train station itself. So let me show you what the train station is going to look like. Right, what you're seeing on screen here is a building that was never built, but we're going to realize it as a train station. Now, very long-term viewers of the channel will know that I've done this in the past with unbuilt buildings, and I created my original Walhampton train station from a design for the Corn Exchange in Winchester. A very big throwback there. But this is, as you can read on the screen there, the entrance elevation to Burr Homage, a seat for the Baroness. I can't remember that name there, but it was actually designed as a house to sit in Mudderford near Christchurch in what was Hampshire then, is now Dorset. It was designed in the 1820s, and it has these beautiful neo-Greek motifs about it. And to me, it looks like a train station. Like I don't know why, it looks like those really early train stations, maybe Huddersfield or Euston or something like that. And these bits here were given like train shed vibes. So I was like, okay, I could put, a train shed roof here and one there to match the pediment in the middle. And I was also like, actually, no, if I lowered the track beds down, I could put a train shed roof through here and it would look a lot nicer. And I was like, oh, we could do the same here. So anyway, what happened was this frontage then became the main plan for the train station. I also then had access to the floor plans for it all, and I could see, right, well, this could be the main ticketing hall, and this could be the bits you go off down to the platforms. Yes, it's all working. This is the main ticket place, and this all becomes waiting rooms on the side for the train sheds to go through. And that's how we ended up with this on the ground here. I think it turned out quite nicely. So we got the long sections in here, so these are going to be stacked up higher, and you'll see the train shed roof will come up probably about here, and it won't impact on the main central bit. So this is the main central colonnade, which you saw in the picture, with what will be a pediment above it. And I've gone through and I've tried to plan out all the rooms in here. So we have places like hallway waiting area. This is like a side alley off. If you've already got your ticket, you can come down here. These are like little offices. So this is a hallway, and then we got toilet, another toilet, another door back out to the hallway. I think this was a store cupboard. Yep, cupboard. The thing is, I built this in January this year, and I don't think I've ever come back to it. I need to come back and actually try and finish it off one day. But this was going to be like a little waiting room, so the floor level is obviously up there. This is then a little side way down, and you walk down to the train station. There's going to be columns through here. Now, moving on to the rest of the planned stuff for Whiteburg City. So we are greeted here in the middle of Willy Square with the column to Nelson. This is our version of Trafalgar Square. Now, this is a very crude massing exercise, as with all the rest of the massing exercises around here as well. So opposite that is going to be the Church of St Mary le Strand. In real life, this sits in the Strand in London as well. Very nice sort of English Baroque church built in the early 1700s. And what's quite nice about this area is when you leave the train station through the front door, which would be around about here, you're going to get that view there. Look at that. That is gorgeous, isn't it? Plus, you're going to see that growing out the ground as well, behind a mass of townhouses all the way through here. And then, actually, do you know what? I think it's time for another map. We need to show you a bit more of what I've got planned around here. So on screen, you can see the area located around Willy Square. We're going to have townhouses galore up through this section, overlooking the parks around the National Monument. These townhouses through here, some of these have been built in the massing exercise. We'll get to those in a bit. But these are going to be in a Queen Anne style, which is a much older version of Georgian townhouse. This area isn't going to be here anymore because there's going to be that train shed coming through. And these buildings were going to be some large neo-Baroque buildings. Haven't fully decided on what I want to do there. This here is going to be some sort of domed building that I think I have a plan for. It's all just coming together in my head. And then once the road moves there, we're going to have some very large neo-Gothic type buildings. These Victorian hotels that you kind of see around Charing Cross, Paddington in London. Then following up the Strand, we've got, I have another plan for that area. Let me change over. You can see here, I've really been delving deep into my mind palace on how to plan this area out. Right, so we move on up from this church over here, through all of this area. Now, This is a column here to the Duke of York. We'll get down to that. That has been built. This road then bisects all the way across, and it's quite a grand road that will have statues down the middle, trees and that. It's a nice avenue. The rest of the Strand is going to be fronted by very large shops, businesses and hotels. It's the main road of commerce and just life throughout Whiteburg City. It's then terminated up here. Well, not even terminated. It has another church in the centre, and I think that's St. Clement's Danes Church. Goblin will correct me in the comments on that one, which will be in the middle of the road again, opposite the parks. And up here is where we're going to have a sort of Fleet Street type place, newspaper buildings, such. The road structure around here is, I think, quite nice. So we're going to have a little turning off of there, which then spurs off into a couple of roads. We've got some nice angles. Then you're going to have a very straight road through here, which will be lined with townhouses similar to those in Bloomsbury around the British Museum. Now, I've already started thinking in my head, right, what sort of building needs to go here? And I've thought about it. This needs to be the City Hall of Whiteburg. I think it sits very nice and central, and it's going to have a good prominent location opposite a nice square, townhouses around it, and you can see at a different angle it coming up through. We'll get round to designing that at some point, but the rest of it around here is just townhouses surmounted in squares and little roadways. But what I've done as well is I've tried to incorporate where little villages would have been along the way. So as Whiteburg expanded and the planned city came into fruition, small villages around here started being lumped in together. So these little churches and churchyards are what were like parish churches. So this is going to be St. Margaret's Church. I've just made that name up on the spot there. And this area will be known as St. Margaret's. This area here is known as St. Mary's. Mainly because of the church here, St. Mary the Strand, a very big church. And then this would be like a chapel of ease for St. Mary's, so built a bit later. So this whole area on this side of the road, St. Mary's, this whole side is St. Margaret's area, all the way up to St. Clement's Danes Clements, whatever that church is called. But that's how this area is going to get filled out. And this bit is going to be quite nice. It's going to have that sort of English village feel to it. A melting pot of different styles of townhouses, but surmounted again around a nice square. Let's have a look at this area in game. So that is over here opposite the parks, and I've got my autumnal texture pack on to make the parks really pop in these lovely colours. And already, this massing exercise, which is where instead of just doing 2D layouts on the ground, you go through and you stack up sections of buildings to try and form a mass, a view of how you wish to see it. And I like to think in 3D, and I think doing something like this, you can see, really helps go, right, well, this is how big it needs to be, this is how tall it needs to be, and these are the views and the little vistas you're going to end up with. Just look at that, that's nice, isn't it? Got the trees coming through there, then you've got this little walkway that comes up to a small little side road which goes back up onto the main road here, and then you get this little angle here, and you go, oh, that's nice. Even without any windows or anything on, that building there, you go, that's a really nice terminating view, that. And then you come through, you've got two very large buildings either side, but then you've got the openness of the park. And this is why it's great to just get some stuff in game, even planned. You don't have to build it. You don't have to go through and go, I need to design such and such. You kind of just let your imagination take hold. And you can see here, this winding road down here is already looking like an English road. You've got large Georgian townhouses. Like I said, these are going to be Queen Anne style ones. They're very tall and very much an older colour, a bit more of a darker brick with what's it called? Trapdoors. Well, jungle. Sorry, jungle or even acacia colourings around the windows, because that's kind of the colours they go for along those. Yeah, that'll look nice. And then these are darker bricks. But this comes on down through here into this area around the column for the Duke of York, which is a terminating view for several different directions. So you've got this diagonal road which comes up through the parks. We've shown off the parks in the recent server update tour. So that diagonal road comes through there, and you're going to get this column at the end. You've then got the column capturing the views from if you stand up there on the other bit of Wellington Parade. Then you've got, again, up from this way. Now this is where the small little villages is going to be. The church will sit around about here. There'll be a little road off to it with townhouses leading off down through here, joining on to the park over there. Similar styles to these. These are like a bit more of an early Georgian. Actually, no, these are Regency. Oh, that's a lovely pagoda style thing there. I think Lauman built these. But you can already see I'm kind of trying my best just to build one area at a time and work the way back out from from a central location, because these buildings here, this one does planned already, and one that will be opposite over here, are two very large neo-Baroque buildings we have designed for that. Let me show you the little area plan for this. So this was the original sketch I did for this area, and you know, you can already see all of this stuff pretty much is now in game on the ground, apart from anything on the left hand side, on the right hand side. But this is the two ideas for this buildings: townhouses through there, and a little rabbit's warren around the back. And I think it's come out quite well. And to think, you know, I drew that first, I then took it back into game, and this is how it's come out. I think what I'm trying to say is that's the best way I find to plan things in game, and it doesn't actually have to be perfect. Once you bring it back into game, you go, okay, well, we can do this, this, and this. You start to think about other things, like, okay, that's quite a nice little detail. The fact that this road was clearly built after those townhouses, so you've got like a very small little pavement there where the pavement's been covered back up by the road. Then you end up, I don't really know how to describe it, like just doing little bits at a time, and you end up with a bit of character in the area. So anyway, that is 20 minutes or nearly half an hour of me going, yes, I have plans in place for this area. Nothing has been built, as you can see. But that doesn't mean nothing's been built in Whiteburg. No, let me show you some stuff that has been built since the previous time we did this. So the parks, the steeple, which has been shown off quite a bit, I think. Or, you know, I don't know if it has. We've got the Nelson's column here. No, we've got Wellington Monument here, which goes through, looks right down across the bridge, which was built in the last Building Whiteburg City video. We've got the lovely statue up there. But what I was bringing you round to see is if we go on down this way, past the area around the Adelphi Terrace, and down this little section through here, past, well, towards the train station and the Parliament, we're going to come round onto some smaller streets, and that's a good view. I do like this view. Round here onto some smaller streets that I believe Aussie put together a year ago or so. We bring ourselves around to a walled-off compound. This is Paradise Street, and this is number 10 Paradise Street, also known as number 10 Downing Street, and number 11 and number 12, number 11, number 12, and also number 13 randomly, and number 15, and this is number 14. Now, number 14 is a pub, and will be featured soon in the annual Christmas pub crawl. That is just a very large townhouse, a huge townhouse, used mainly as a hotel. Again, townhouse, another part of government. So this is all run by the CDP, and it's kind of like not actually where the government sits, like in real life. They sit over there in that house. That's where the Prime Minister lives, myself. This is more like the party capital, the party office. This is where they do things. Oh, we're missing a wall there. Don't know how that happened. And I just really like how it's turned out. I haven't built anything in these colourings before. I think it's got that dirtiness to it. Because actually, Downing Street originally looked like this, but then they painted it because it was already turning black from the soot. And when they tried to unpaint it and bring it back to that colour, people didn't like it, so they kept it as this horrible dark brick colour. But it's very iconic now, so it's kind of had to stick. What you aren't seeing is the stuff underground, and I can't show you that until the video for the server pub for the pub crawl, because it'll spoil us some bits. But anyway, so that is the areas I have been building, just trying to fill in a few holes and gaps left in the city centre, in the governmental sector, that needs to be finished off before I really crack on with building stuff over there and working my way up the Strand. But what I did notice is there is one area left in the government quarter that hasn't been built, and it's this area here. I can't remember who was building these, but they're nice. They're nice townhouse designs. We just need to finish it off. So if the person who was building those is watching this, please come back and finish this little corner off, because I want to have a big old tick on this part of Whiteburg City being done after nearly 2 years of working on it. Oh, what a feeling. 2 years of just building this part of the city, but really not doing too much myself. I still love this. I do still love this building. Right, well, thank you all for watching my ramblings over the last half an hour. We have discerned quite a bit of details and planning, and I hope it's given you all a little bit of insight into what I'm doing in my mind, and also what you can expect over the next few months in Whiteburg City. Finally getting some townhouses and some bits and bobs going on. So anyway, guys, remember, I hope you get inspired. I hope you start building for yourself and getting some towns and cities going. And if you do, come join our Discord and show us what you've built, because we do love looking at it and reviewing it and looking at it again. So anyway, guys, remember, get inspired, get building. And I'll see you next time with another one of these Planning Whiteburg City. Goodbye.